Hello, and welcome to this live stream that we've got going on. Got to make some updates on my video here in a moment, but as we do, just want to share some thoughts. So, this idea of the secret tricks that many great artists have used throughout time. That's what we're going to be discussing, but I want to make some updates on my video stream here first. It's funny, I use this streaming service to stream, and it doesn't allow you to edit the stream information from the app. So I have to go into each of these streaming platforms individually and edit them myself. So that's what I got to do real quick before we get started. But just want to start this off by saying that this is primarily about some of the techniques that many artists throughout history have used to learn art. So we're going to call this LiveLog. What are we going to call this? LiveLog. I like to give a name to these. LiveLog. The not so secret techniques great artists use to learn art. And this is a tried and true technique that has been used since the beginning of time as far as art goes. Maybe not the beginning of time, but as far as art studies go. This idea of learning how to draw by studying the work of artists you already admire, and that is ultimately the secret here. No real secret there. But what I think makes it a secret that's also not so secret is when you actually study artists, it becomes very obvious that a lot of great artists are inspired by some artwork or artist or another. Very few artists are ever self-taught, maybe self-guided. I like to use self-guided. I don't think any artist is truly self-taught. Maybe self-guided because, you have to look at something to be able to create something. And, they might have learned a technique by themselves, such as, Jackson Pollock coming up with his expressionism and getting his whole body into it. But I think at the end of the day, very few artists are like self-taught in every way, and I call it self-guided is the word I like to use. And I think as an artist, if you start to study artwork, you'll quickly learn that a lot of artists are inspired by somebody, and when they start to do work, they actually do lots and lots of copies. They do copies of artworks, master copies, whatever you want to call them. And where that's a secret, I think, is that if you're not studying art in depth, I think there's this illusion that art just kind of like just pops into people's minds and they can just like draw it magically. And I think certain abstract works are like that, but even abstract work, sometimes it takes a lot of planning. Like Piet Mondrian, I think that's how you pronounce his name. There's some planning that gets involved there. Even Rothko, just two major colors with Rothko, and I think he spent a lot of time deciding on the two colors or the few colors that he would use on a canvas. So, master studies, master copies is, I think, one great way that lots of artists have learned to do artwork. And because of that, something I've been spending a lot of time recently is going through this book. So this is The Ultimate Bargue. I believe it's a French guy who wrote the book, Charles Bargue. I don't want to pronounce his name like Bargue or Bargue. I'm just going to pronounce it Charles Bargue. And he made this book of a bunch of prints, or I think they call them, plates. So plates. And essentially you just copy all of these, and that is your art training. So we just did this piece. The last one, this was the foot here. I just did a foot. Call it Call it what you want. I like it. And I'm going to do another foot. So this has you basically do everything like almost twice. So you do, I'm just copying it like piece by piece. So this has the first study, then the second study, and then the third. So I'm going to do it a third and a third time basically. So let's do that. And you know, one thing I like to do for this is basically do it in oil pastels. So I'm actually using oil pastel rather than pen or pencil. And whatever angle this pops up in the book. So if this is like a foot, and usually, you know, you see foot more like this, where a foot is flat on the bottom, I like to draw or do these studies at the exact angle that this is. So if this is up and vertical, I'm going to also make it up and vertical. I learned this technique for studies in an art book called, it's by, I think her name is Betty Edwards, and it's called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. Really good book, but it's also very like wordy, and it's very like technical. Like this is a lesson learned by whoever in like the 1900s, and then, you know, they did this, and the reason why this works is because it makes your brain think like this. And it could get very wordy, and you know, you could spend so much time that you're reading and trying to understand what it's saying rather than actually just drawing itself, which is why I love this book. Because if you put words in front of me, I'm going to be so focused on the words and get lost on what the words are trying to say. And some books are really difficult to read for art because it's like so technical, and I can seriously get lost. And one thing that's great about this book is there are no words. It's like, hey, here's what to do. Copy these to the best of your ability. The closer you could get the hypothetical mastery, the better the hypothetical mastery you have. And there you have it. But at the same time, you know, I know this is totally different. You know, this was made in the 1850s, this book. And I'm going to move this up a little bit so you can see a little better. So this book was actually originally, this is a reprint, but this book was originally made in like the 1850s. So over 100 years ago, art has changed quite a bit since then. And although I think the tastes are different, you know, there's like more expressionism, there's neo-expressionism, there's abstract, there's so many things that have evolved in the art world since the 1850s that this might necessarily not reflect the tastes or personal tastes. But even if you were to learn this style, learn these ways of drawing, I think the beauty of it is that you can adapt it to pretty much anything if you want to learn how to draw. So, I mean, let me just share with you some of the stuff that I've worked on. So obviously some of these are ears. I finally moved into the foot. You know, these are the original eyes. And oh, that's not actually part of it, but you know, some of the early eyes, I use oil pastels so they look a little different, but you know what, you get into like faces, and you get into different faces, and you get into like ears and feet, and it just kind of like starts to flow together. Things start to make sense. And why don't we go ahead and stop talking so much and let me just get into drawing. So this video is more of me just talking through. So if you're tuning in, feel free to join the live chat or whatever you like and say hello. This isn't a totally open room. This is actually live, people. This isn't a pre-recorded stream. This is actually live. That's the beauty of Instagram or Facebook or wherever you're watching this from, whether it be Facebook, Twitch, wherever, being broadcast around the entire planet. Can you believe that? You can catch me and watch this from around the entire planet. That's how incredible YouTube is. So, I think about what it would cost to actually send a message out to everybody on the planet. Now, obviously, not everyone's going to see this because they simply, might not click the video to watch it. But I just think it's pretty incredible that that there is some level of, there's some piece of this that anybody from the entire planet can watch this. It's kind of cool to me. So here we go. I'm trying to figure out, I'm just measuring out proportion here. So I'm just looking for these lines, looking at these lines and just figuring out where the proportions are, what the lengths are, and I'm estimating. I'm not even actually measuring. Now, technically, if you want to be a good student, you should be measuring. But I've never really been a good student. So, you know, I like to do things my own way. You call it an Achilles heel. You know, if you know that it's your Achilles heel, is it still an Achilles heel? There's a philosophical question there. But I'm going to go and draw this line. It's about, guesstimating that it's about a little bit less than double. So there's a right angle there. And that's probably a little bit high. So we're going to go right here. And there we go. So let me see. That's about that length. That's about that. Yeah, that's pretty close. Okay, maybe a little bit further. So what's great about this book, I mean, all it is just teaching you how to measure proportions and stuff. Like, all you're doing is constantly just looking at the lengths of things and looking at the angles of things, and then you can draw. So looking at the lengths and the angles, that's it. That is really it. And that's the beauty of learning to draw from this book. There's not too much theory or, you know, this is how you need to do things. It's just, it is what it is. You're either going to take it or you're not going to try and learn it. And here we go, as we draw another line here. That line's probably a little too long. So let's try to match this line. We're going to go, just trying to match it. So let's estimate that it's going to be right around here. Right around here. All right, so it's going to be about double this line. So the thing about this book is there's not too much hand-holding. You know, it kind of like throws you straight into the deep end of the pool, as you might say. We're going to go do another foot here. And we're going to go a foot. That foot is about the same length as the heel, so we're going to go. And the challenge that I have is I'm working with oil pastels, which are a little bit thicker, which will create a slightly skewed effect. And I have to work with that. So, but I like the challenge of having to work with something that's a little bit different. I can instantly see, look what happens when you try to do things off the cuff. You do huge errors like this. So how can I fix this? Maybe I have to make this line thicker. So I can go and actually just work backwards here. We're going to work backwards. And we're going to bring this line and there we go. Here we go. So we've pretty much fixed it. And you know what's going to happen is basically once I work in this area, once I color through this, you're never even going to notice that I was that off. So here we go. We're going to go this to the top of the foot. Yeah, it's cool. All right. These are fairly good measurements, fairly accurate. So there we go. There's the step one. And then step two, you draw in the rest of these details. So right here, you start to see where the shadows go. So I'm going to basically copy those details into here. And that's the next step, baby. The next step. So the next step in all this. Oh, okay. So in the previous image, I can see where the line ends. So I can start to formulate this board right here. So let's go ahead and let's bring this up like so, and then bring this down, and let's go up and then down and then around. And from my understanding, this is the secret of all the great artists who have ever lived. I want to argue that's probably all of them, because I can only imagine how many artists haven't studied the work of another artist. I don't know how many. How many artists have not studied or copied the work of another artist, either for learning purposes, to learn their secrets, if there are any, or other. I mean, maybe there's a few, but they're probably not as well known. But yeah, the exercises. And it's funny because part of me is like going through this and I'm thinking to myself, is studying even worth it? Maybe I should just, be making work. I should just be making, the work that I want to be making. And that's often been my philosophy. But at the same time, I'm also curious about this style of artwork, how it all looks, and how artists came to these conclusions for this art style. So right here, I need to do a little bit of an inward curve for the ankle here, and then we're gonna go around. We're going to curve this heel around. We're going to bring it to the front. And let's go ahead and make a straight line. So we're making a straight line down. So this is almost like a foot in sandals, pretty much. So again, with the oil pastels, I get a thicker line, which means I have to deal with the idea that the line is a little thicker. And we're just going to work with that. So let's work with this. Here we go. So that's going to go right about the heel. Yeah, okay, so this is fairly accurate. Even as I'm measuring and just eyeing it, I can already start to see where some of my mistakes might be, or whatever you want to call them. Because we know Bob Ross wouldn't call them mistakes. He'd call them happy accidents, right? Good old Bob Ross. Imagine if Bob Ross never came up with that quote. What the world would be like, right? That is seriously the most powerful quote that an artist could have is, there's no such things as a mistake, there are only happy accidents. I can think of no better quote in the world of art. Now, there's a lot of great quotes in my opinion, but I think that's probably one of the best. And you can't change my opinion no matter what. Just kidding. We all gotta have flexible opinions, right? So here we go. Alright, let's go. We're going to draw this part of the ankle here. And then we're going to sketch in the toes. The toes, we're going to start to curve in our foot here. So this is going to curve. The top of the ankle is going to curve. We're going to curve this into the toes. And then the toe is going to have a nice little tip to it. And let's go like this. Let's see, we're going to bring this up. And our goal this time is to aim to make better toes. I want to aim at making better toes. That's at least one of the goals with this one. So here we go. Let's make sure that we get in some of the shading here. We're going to go with the foot. Bring the foot around. Let's do this. We're going to go angle down. So from this, go down. And then we're going to go from this. Oh yeah, I got to go. Let's see, from that is going to go into the next corner. So let's go like that. And we're going to do another toe. It's going to curve in and then curve out. And then we're going to do one more toe. I guess this could be, this isn't necessarily a tutorial on drawing feet, although it could be. And here we go. So I'll share a little bit of progress. You know, once you get in the zone on a certain sub part, you don't necessarily want to change that trajectory of your momentum right away. But once I get past this, I will share some updates on our progress here. So here we go. Right now we're doing this foot. All we have is this basic design. And as you can see, just copying the design. Just copying it line by line. And eventually, the next thing that we're doing is knocking out this piece right here. So let's do that. We're going to go... You know what? Let's go with the black, gray, and white foot. How about that? We're going to go with black, gray, and white. The good old black, gray, and white. So, I've always found black to be an interesting color because it's like such a, there's no reason for it in my opinion, but it is such a color that goes unappreciated by a lot of art people because, a lot of art people say, oh, well, black doesn't occur naturally in society or in life, so you should never use it. But I love the color black. I have this entire series called From Black. And I think it's a great color that should be used in art, not unused just because, some art experts say, like, oh, well, you can't use black because it doesn't occur naturally. But that's just my opinion. So, you should use the color that you feel is the best for the expression of whatever it is that you need to express in your life and your practice. So here we go. We're just going to push through this. What's up, Abril? Abril's Corner? Is it Abril? What's going on? Yeah, you're the only one here right now. Well, I have a viewer on Twitch. So I'm streaming on Twitch and YouTube right now. So I do have one viewer on Twitch as well. So it's not just you. Black is a great color. It's a wonderful color. It's a fantastic color. And just think about like all the effort that it goes into making the color black. Like you need such a dense color to make it. The absence of light. How do you create the absence of light? Like it's not an easy thing to accomplish. So what do you think, Abril? What are your thoughts regarding the practices of the world's great artists? What do you think are some of your favorite artists? What are your how do you feel about life? Life and art, they go together, don't they? I would say so, wouldn't you? Life and art go together. It's wild to think, like, the first artists were like cave people. There were cave people who did paintings and drawings on caves. And, to see how far we've come. But honestly, I think those first cave paintings were pretty darn good. There was no pressure to... there wasn't any pressure to, like, create lifelike things. Like, they just had to tell a story. They had to warn people. Their job, art back then, was, like, designed to, like, warn people about the dangers of hunting, is to, like, create battle plans for your next meal. Or to, like, leave your mark on a stone wall for people to see tens of thousands of years later. How cool is that? That somebody left their hand mark. They probably didn't think about it. They probably weren't consciously saying, hey, I want my hand marks here for all to see for the rest of, as long as these hand marks can last. Maybe it's eternity, maybe it's next week. And somebody said that, some human being, some early human said that, and and somehow it has become preserved. That early human's handprint has become a preserved piece of artwork. It's amazing. So here we go. We're gonna go. I'm gonna go and start to shape these feet as we go into it. And here we go. So we can welcome Abril. I don't know if Abril is still here, but if you are a special guest. Special guest. You're all special guests in my world. So here we go. Let's tighten up this toe. I think there's a rapper named Lil Toe that I've heard of. So black is a really tough color to use here, because I got to create some more subtle shadows, but the black is really creating a very specific outline that that can be tough to mistake. So let's go like this. We got one more toe here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to go down. And around. And then we're going to get this big toe here. Give it the nail it deserves. And here we go. So now that we've got these shadows here, let's add a little bit of extra line work here just to give it a little bit more texture. As far as this this leg goes. And now that we've got the nice dark areas, let's go ahead and tighten up with the light areas. So we're going to go in with a gray. Multi-tone. We're going to go multi-tone here. So I don't know. Let's see, do I have a darker gray? I wish they did a darker gray. They need like a gray that's somewhere between like this lighter gray and a dark gray. But we're going to go in and let's just start to add some of the lighter areas. So some of the lighter shadows that are popping up. Not necessarily these dark shadow areas that I already have, but some of these other light shadow areas, and just sketch them in just to start to create like an interesting design. Give it some of this colored texture that we have going on. And we're gonna go just gently. Alexa, read the poem, Do Not Go Gently into the Soft Night. Alexa, off. Well, I wanted her to read a poem to me. Do not go softly into that. Do not go gently into that good night. Alexa, read the poem, Do Not Go Softly into the Good Night.
Getting your selection from Audible. Resuming Van Gogh.
Alexa, off. Alright, so Alexa did not understand me that time. But whatever, it's all good. We can all have misunderstandings sometimes. I wish Alexa would just like read poems that I like, but I guess that might be asking a lot. So anyway, I guess that's a really good poem. Do Not Go Softly into That Good Night by Dylan something. I had to look this up earlier because I was really curious what that poem was about. It's a really interesting, powerful quote here. The do not go softly into the good night, or do not go softly into the gentle night, or whatever. By Dylan Williams or something like that. So here we go. We're using our gray right now to blend in some of the black, and at some point we're gonna use like a white, and we're gonna go into this with the white, and we're gonna go and use the white to ultimately fill in the space here. Oh, this should be a much tighter circle. So we're going to go like this, and then like this. So I think I made the toes too big on this, and then the actual feet a little bit wonky. So we're going to go ahead and tighten this up, get a little bit right here. But that's why studying this book is so valuable, is just getting yourself to be able to see your own mistakes, see where you're not quite getting certain things, and from there you can either choose to keep that as a part of your own style, or you're going to go ahead and try and make an attempt to fix it. Or you can do this book multiple times, like Vincent van Gogh did. So Vincent van Gogh, aka Vincent van Gogh, supposedly did this book went through this material about like 4 or 5 or 3 times. I think the rumor is about 3 times he went through this material. So I find that very interesting. But yeah, he went through this material about 3 times. Picasso supposedly studied this at a very young age. And, you know, I think a lot of Picasso's early work, it definitely shows through. What's up, Jay? How you doing, my friend? My youthful friend. So instead of going with another gray with white, you know what? Let's do white. Let's experiment with white. I don't use white enough because it's really hard to show on white paper. It's almost as if like it does nothing at all. But I think with this gray, what it's going to do is it's going to give me some undercolors to work with that help to actually bring out some of the qualities of the oil pastels, to create like a nice little grittiness, a nice textured look. So I hope you're doing fantastic, Jay. If you're the Jay that has been here before, can't really tell because I'm doing a new streaming platform now, so I can't see photos of people. I can't see people's images. So all I have to work off of is a name. And here we go. So, and if I remember, you are a soccer celebrity, right? One of the best soccer players in America. That's right. I got celebrities that come into this live stream. So, anyways, we're gonna go like this, and we're gonna carve into some of these spaces here. We're gonna blend in some of the feet space, and there we go. So we're gonna go ahead and format this shape. I think the only way to really make this work is I would need to color in the area around the white. So I need to color in the rest of the space around this entire marble sculpture. So what's going on? You doing all right these days? You knocking out all the important things that you need to do in life, hopefully. I guess school's out in some places. I have no clue. So here we go. We're gonna go like this, and we're gonna go right underneath here. And here we go. So painting in these toes. And I need to tighten up a part of this. So let's get around this foot area. This needs to come up a bit rather than all right, right, and here we go. So let's go around this entire foot, and we're gonna go color it blue. So let's go with the blue and just go around this. And then you can't see what we did with our initial sketch. We can kind of make that disappear. We can hide our mistakes. We can hide our mistakes. And, you know, rather than call them mistakes, we call them what they are, happy accidents. Because what they leave room for is extra creativity, right? If everything was perfect, there would be no errors. And sometimes mistakes, great things come from mistakes. Did you know that the creator of a sticky note was actually an employee who their main job was to create a new type of glue? I think they were trying to create new glue, but they found that this glue wasn't sticky enough. So what happened was they ended up just using it for paper or something, and that's how the sticky note was invented by 3M. It is a classical story of how mistakes lead to beautiful things if you can allow them to happen. So, and you know what? I've got this beautiful blue just carved around our piece here. I'm going to share some updates here in a moment, but for now, and aha. So here we go. Share a little update right now. This is a foot in this style here. This is a foot in this style. And what I still need to do is I got to still have a couple things to work on. I'd like to give it a little bit of more texture, add some nice blue to it. A little bit of blue, give it a different color design. Add a little bit of blue. I like how when you lay down, oil pastels, they already have like this grittiness to them. There's a texture to it. So you can easily start to create like all sorts of effects, textured effects. And there we have it. We're going to call this foot in B minor. Just kidding. So here we go. That's 1 foot down, and we've got, what are we going to do next? We've got 4 more feet to go. So let's see, 3 more feet to go. Let's see, 1, 2, we got a lot of feet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got 12 more feet to draw. How lucky are we? So 12 more feet to go. Let's do this. What color shall we use? If you are out there, well, I know somebody's out there, but if you're watching this right now, feel free to suggest a color. If you don't say it in time, I'm picking a color right now. I like to make these streams interactive. And here we go. So let's go like this. I'm going to do this foot on this page right here. And what we're doing is we're just going over and around. So If you're tuning in, hello and welcome. Good to see you. Good to have you here. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And I wonder if Mr. Rogers had the same writers as Bob Ross. He must have. Like, Mr. Rogers came up with so many great messages and quotes. So let's go down. So we're going to create a downward angle. We're going to go a little bit longer than that. So inward. Go inward a bit. And the other one's going to go inward even further. And let's do this. So we're going to continue and continue. So we're going to draw the ankle here. The ankle starts right around here. We're going to come out past this point right here. And then this piece is going to interlock here. And we're going to come around. Let's see, this is going to come like so. Let's go down. This ankle comes a little smaller. Goes a little lower. Just a quick little sketch downward. And here we go. So that's going to come down past that. So if you hear me just saying these things, what I'm basically doing is just talking to myself about how this sketch is going to go, and just going around doing this study. Maybe even, you might even call this like a demo of this book, right? Like, how does this book work? How can people learn to draw from this book that has no words in it, that doesn't tell you anything, but somehow you can just learn how to draw wonderful and great, magnificent, magnificent little pieces. So this is coming out a little too far, so we're going to pull that around. Like, you learn everything. You can learn everything from this. Now, I personally don't agree with some of the philosophy, because this comes from an era of books or art study when art just wasn't accessible to everybody. You know, you had to already be a known person, maybe come from an art family. You had to, like, have the ruler of whatever country or government hire you in order to be an artist back, you know, during these these days or whatever, until, you know, the Impressionists started to change things in the 1800s. But I find this is quite an interesting time for arts, because things have totally changed once this book started to roll around. So here we go. We're gonna share some progress here in a few. But even with this this study, I can see a variety of mistakes, but you know what? That's okay. This is a very oily oil pastel. I didn't expect anything different. Here we go. So it's gonna come here. Oh, I've made a horrible mistake because I'm not paying attention. So I've been coloring this down, but I haven't really been paying attention to where the things start and end. So I kind of just like drew a really dark shadow where it doesn't really need to be. And this isn't going to be an easy fix, but I think I can make it work. So let's go with the white. We're gonna go over this space with the white. And try to push back some of the color that we had inadvertently included that doesn't need to be here. And there we go. I think we got it. So let's go ahead and bring back this purple. And we're going to take this purple and we need to mold some more of our shape here. And let's go with a softer color and start to blend in this space here. And here we go. So here we go. So coloring in, basically coloring. It sounds like a funny word for an adult to say, but coloring in these spaces. Just coloring and coloring. And now let's find a good color to bring this all together, to tie this masterpiece together. We're going to go with an orange. Actually, the opposite of yellow would be like a gold. This purple, I would say this is a pretty deep purple. So I want to go for like a gold, deep gold. Actually, you know what? We're actually going to use one of the golds. So I got these great pastels. They're by Sennelier. And this is golden pearl. So let's use that. Let's go with a golden pearl to create these two contrasting colors here and just create this nice effect. Cat. All right, and here we go. Go in with the gold and the purple. And this is a beautiful color. I absolutely love it. These colors are amazing, these Sennelier colors. And here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cheat a little bit. Let's cheat on this. So red, orange, yellow, green, gold, and purple are great contrasting colors. So gold, purple, we either need a red, purple, red, yellow. Purple, red, yellow. Yeah, let's use a red to tie this all together. So we're going to use a nice deep red to bring this all together. So, and then we can also use the red to basically carve away at our form to tighten up the shape as well. And we'll share some updates here in a moment. But for now, I highly recommend checking this book out. If you have a desire to, learn some classical drawing skills. So here we go. Let's go like this, carving away at this piece right now. Carve away, and here we go. So carving away with the shadows, carving away at the dark areas, creating a better form. And one thing I love about some of the different oil pastels is some of them you don't mind being rough with. You don't really want to be gentle with the really, really soft oil pastels, because usually, first of all, I mean, they're a little bit more expensive, but there's certain colors or certain oil pastel brands that you can really just cover lots of area with, because you don't mind using them up. For whatever reason, maybe it's the cost or whatever, but you don't mind using them. So we'll share an update here in just a moment, but taking a look here, and here's our foot. So 2 feet down. Now this one, I will admit, it's a bit, I think the ankle's a little big. This like side ankle. I think we get the idea that this is a foot that's turned away. So that's kind of neat. And you know what? Initially I was kind of weirded out. I was like, oh, this isn't realistic. These like heels, they would always, why would they have these, feet on top of things? But it could represent sandals. It could represent shoes. It could represent all sorts of things. So let's draw this next piece right here. I think we're going to go for an hour. This stream's going to last about an hour, and then we'll take another break. Constantly need breaks when doing art. My goodness, I definitely find that working, doing artwork, if I don't take enough breaks, my mind just starts to kind of, especially if you're doing studies, if you're really like doing certain types of studies. But if you're just like doing something expressionist and just having fun, then sometimes it's pretty chill. You could just relax and not think too much. And that's great art too. And that's very, very good for the mind. But for these like studies, I have this interesting thought about. It's interesting to me. It might not be interesting to you, but it's this idea that there's this pressure from live streaming. So Corey Monday, you have to stand up and walk around for a minute. Yeah, exactly. So I've been sitting, but like the way I have things set up, it's like, I feel like I just got to push through and just take a break and come back later. But usually if I like paint, I'm actually standing. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. Really appreciate you. It sounds like you have definitely thought through this. And as I was also saying, like as a live streamer, there's like this pressure, this pressure that I think is self-inflicted, where it's like, oh, I feel like I can't do studies, right? Like everything I do should be like a full painting or a full piece of art. Because if I'm doing live streaming, like who wants to watch studies? Like how can I sell a study? No one wants to buy studies as artwork. And I think it's funny that I have this pressure because it's like unrealistic. It's self-inflicted. Does it really matter? Probably not. But the only reason why I share that is because I imagine, different artists have all sorts of different thoughts about things. And, I think it can even be harmful, to have a pressure that you can't actually do the studies, that you can't do studies because of live streaming or whatever, because no one wants to see an artist studying. They want to see an artist creating the final masterpiece. And I find it amusing that you can have these unrealistic ideas. Simply because when we watch most artists, right, what you're seeing is like the final piece, the final artwork, the 10-second live short that some artists made that depicts how they made their last piece, and we all just kind of learn from that, right? There's that idea. And it makes me wonder though, like, do you think most artists don't do live streams because they're afraid, or do you think it's just because they don't have the technology? They just don't feel like setting up a camera every single time they have to go do a painting, or they're just like afraid to share their technique, the idea that someone might think they're not a great artist. I like talking about these things. And sometimes it might be a bit much, but that's okay. It's all part of the art. But yeah, feel free to share your thoughts, Corey Monday. Totally happy to hear other artists' perspectives and opinions and views. Heck, even criticisms. If you have a criticism about my work, my streams, my opinions, feel free to share them. Would love to hear them. Yes. A day without criticism is a day without anything interesting happening. I don't truly believe that all the time, but for right now I do. Okay. All right, so we are on foot number 2. So let me get through some of the finer details of this, and then we'll go back and I'll share some progress. So I'm planning out. I've used red, purple, and gold, and I've used white and black. I'd like a nice dark color. I already did blue. So let's go with a green foot. You build scale miniatures, and you don't know if you should share the build process because it looks terrible up until the last second. Yeah, that's definitely a consideration. And here's the thing, is it part of your brand, right? Because there's some artists who their brand is like that final perfect phase. There's a mystery to this artist's persona, right? Like, what do they do behind the scenes? And there's like a mystery to it. And that's a beautiful thing too. So it really depends. Like, do you want to share the build process? Do you want to... This is the question I ask myself. So, you know, you may or may not... It may not click with you or whatever. But, you know, is it going to be a part of your brand, right? Like, do you want people in the future who look up how to build scale miniatures to go to your channel and be like, oh, that's cool. That's a neat little trick. But I also think, like, historically, art... the process of art, you know, a lot of it's been protected, right? It's been kept away. Like the artisans would keep their methods secrets. Would keep their methods a secret. So, because I have to tie with my pinky because my finger's a little dirty. But they would have to keep their methods a secret. And, you know, art was like left for the ivory towers of the art world where artists would like do sculptures and paintings for the royal families and the churches of the world and all that. You're good.
Thank you. Do you feed the cats?
All right, yeah, I'll feed the cats.
Okay.
So,
Chicken you can cut.
you know, historically, I think a lot of art, the techniques and the methods were pretty much kept secret. So, like, you know, I think a good, historically good carpenters or, you know, good craftspeople, they didn't want people to know how they did things. And, you know, that's part of your brand. If you have a patented method to do something, no reason to share it. Coca-Cola doesn't need to share their recipe. You know, Elon Musk doesn't need to share his AI for self-driving cars. I think painting is different. You enjoy it, and I'm right. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, here's the other thing too, is before I did art, I was a content creator, you know, making short films, working in film and TV and stuff. So, you know, coming from that perspective, it's almost like an easy choice, right? Like, why not make content out of the art that I do? But is it for everybody? I don't know. Like, some people love to watch people, you know, struggle, right? Like getting through the ugly phase. Artists have an ugly phase too. I mean, even growing up, kids have ugly phases. I had an ugly phase in childhood. So, like, you know, it's all part of the process. And, you know, I think a lot of people like to share photos of, you know, not to like call people ugly, but it's a thing. People have like an ugly phase. I'm not calling anybody ugly, but whatever. So, that aside, yeah, there's the growth out of the ugly phase of artwork. And I think that's exciting. I like to see people how they work through challenges. I would love to know, like, how Picasso studied in his laboratory, in his studio, because Picasso had an interesting schedule. He was like a night owl. He wouldn't start doing artwork until like after he's had lunch. You know, he'd wake up, do some stuff, have some meetings, have some coffee, do whatever, and then he wouldn't start painting supposedly until like 6 p.m. at night, and he would go like into the morning or something. And how cool would it be to get insight into, you know, how Picasso like thought through his problems, his challenges. And of course not everyone's Picasso, right? But just this idea of being able to see how people work through problems, various artists. I think it's good for future artists to know.
So you won't forget to feed them.
Yeah, no, I won't. I'm probably gonna sign off here soon, and then I'll feed the cats.
Okay, chicken,
Yeah.
and there's that cat milk. They seem to like it. We have to
Yeah.
use it.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I gave them dry.
Sounds good.
Bye.
It sounds like he wants you to feed them now.
I just put dry food in his bowl.
All right, well, maybe he's saying don't go. Stay home.
Yeah, well, everything's in the fridge. I can't get it out till you're done.
Okay, all right.
Sorry. Bye.
All right, take care, babe. See ya. All right, so anyway. All right, so. Yeah, I can go. What am I drawing? Here, I will share you in a minute. Let me just finish the shadow first. So I just want to finish these shadows real quick. And I will show, or at least the dark shadow areas. So I'm going to finish the shadowing. And I'm using oil pastel. So this is as much of a painting as it is a drawing. Or a pastel artwork. Oh, that's what that is. This is the toe. So here we go. Basically, I'm going through this book here. It's called the Bargue, the Ultimate Bargue. I believe he's a French guy. Bargue Drawing Collection. So this is actually a book that was produced in the 1850s. Vincent van Gogh's company was a big marketer of it. So Goupil AC, his brother, had his art business. And they were like one of the printers, the publishers of this. Not this specific one. This is a reprint of the original, I think. But basically, all it is, it teaches you drawing, but it doesn't tell you anything. There's no words in it. It's just you just got to copy all of these plates, as they call them. So right now, I'm working on a foot, and it's this foot right here. It's kind of cool though. It's these feet. This foot right here, this leg. And it's kind of cool because, without any words, you think oh, well, what am I supposed to do? You can kind of freak out because you're like, oh, I don't know how to do this. But it does it in such an intuitive way. Anybody can copy all of these straight lines. Heck, if you can't copy them, trace them, right? So anybody can go over these straight lines. And then all you got to figure out is how you're gonna shade this. But even that's pretty intuitive. At least the first time, look at these feet. These are pretty easy, right? How easy would it be to draw this shape? Anybody can do it. And then from there, you just kind of shape it on the inside, and then you come up with this final piece by adding in some shadows. So this is just what I did with this foot right here.
I love the foot.
Thanks.
Especially the blue one.
And then this foot right here. So all sorts of stuff right here. And there we go. A little bit of validation from the girlfriend. Okay. So here we go. I'm trying to decide. So I've got this darker blue, and I want to make just a slightly lighter shadow. I might actually go with, what shade of blue do we use? I forgot what blue I used. So let's go with a slightly lighter. And models use different types of paint, like enamel or acrylic, to get. People do that with drawing or painting. Use different types of paint, like enamel. Yeah, well, you know what? My art practice isn't. I don't use too many different materials. Like for my painting right now, I just use oil paint. But I think oil paint is versatile enough that you can already create a variety of textures. But it's not by using different materials. It's by using different. So I might put more or less oil in it. Or I've heard of some people doing a way to make it really, really thick, and you kind of lay it on. But, getting creative. It sounds like you have a very creative way of making your pieces. So, I'm sure there's probably artists that, use a brush and they throw sand into their paint to create a sandy texture. Or they might actually throw paper or something. So yeah, as far as consistency of the paint goes to create texture, you can do a lot with brushes and pasto. But yeah, cool. It sounds like your art style is very interesting. So you make models, what kind of models is my question, and it sounds like you give them textures with a variety of materials. That's kind of cool. if you feel free to share your Instagram. I have my channel is not a you can't talk about your work on my channel. You can't infiltrate my channel and self promote. That's rude. I'm not like that. Totally promote your channel. Promote your channel. Talk about your Instagram. Share your Instagram. Now, what does annoy me is when those people like go into every room and they try to promote their graphics services. Like, hey, I saw on your channel that your graphics could use some better graphics, and I make graphics for people. That's annoying to me, but other than that, I'm pretty chill with that other stuff. I don't actually know if that's the voice they use. It's probably totally different because I'm pretty sure most of them don't speak like that. So here we go. I'm gonna go around here. And now let's go with our final blue. A nice light enamel, like for car bodies or World War II planes, and acrylic for softer finishes. The enamel is really hard and shiny. Well, that's awesome. So World War II planes and car bodies. Sounds like a very niche thing. So do you enter them into do you have a store? Are you a studio gallery owner? Or is it, personal hobby? Definitely if it's a hobby, YouTube's a great place to find people with interest in stuff like that. I will say, I think World War II planes and cars is such a great idea for a YouTube channel. Because, so the other day, one of my best performing videos was me just taking a video of an airplane as a YouTube short. And people love it because there's a lot of people I think it's a helicopter, not just a regular airplane, but people love helicopters. I mean, the people that love helicopters love helicopters. So, if you have a niche, let's just call it a niche, model World War II planes, I think that's such a specific group of people that you will find a lot of people that will love what you do and actually be interested in how you do it. For sure. Since we're talking about content and all that, so you hardly ever take pictures of your stuff. Think about making a page. Yeah, totally. You should definitely. You should do what makes you happy. But honestly, I'm constantly looking at YouTube videos and I'm thinking what makes this good, or or sometimes I see a page and I'm absolutely amazed that a million people could have an interest in what sword cuts through a pig carcass the fastest. Just for example, right? Disclaimer, I expect that no animals were harmed in those videos, except for, the purchase of the carcass that was already dead. But, just random stuff like that. And there's millions and millions of views or tens of thousands of views. And, people have interest in those random types of things. People have interest in swords, But I definitely think that there's a big group of people interested in model cars, model planes, and there's probably only a handful of people that are creating that content. Now, again, that doesn't mean you can't fail, right? Your first few videos might not be good at all, or your first few videos you just don't have the right lighting, or you don't have the filming skills, but that comes with practice. And if you have the passion for it, it's going to not feel like work anyway. So there's that. Hope that gives... Yeah, I think that the best thought here is just this idea that you definitely have an audience out there for... There's definitely an audience out there for car bodies, World War II planes, that stuff. And I don't know how big that audience is. I don't know how active they are. I don't know how many other people are doing it. But it could be worthwhile. You know, just adding a little extra pep to your hobby, or doing it for fun. You said so. You know, add that extra little pep to doing it for fun. You never know. You might find a buyer. I have had people buy my stuff through my various print-on-demand services. So right now I'm seeing this, and I want to add a little bit of a darker, I want to add like a better mid-tone here. So what I think I need to do is I need to make the dark darker in my mid-tone layer. So I'm going to go in and darken my blue here. I'm going to go in with like a dark brown. We're going to darken this blue space here. And here's the other thing. So if you do make your own bodies or World War II planes, you know, the question is, do you make them from scratch, or do you, like, you know, build them from pre-made sets? Because you know, the car models are super popular in Japan. You build scaled JDM drift cars, 1/24 scale. That's awesome. Yeah, there's definitely, yeah. So if you know there's an audience, that's pretty cool. Once you know there's an audience, and you know there's people that can enjoy your work, I definitely think that it's worth doing. Because I think today more than ever, people want to connect with other people with their similar interests. And despite how far we've come in society, I think that it could be harder and harder unless you're in the right area. Like if you live in Los Angeles or a major city, or like Tokyo, you know, you can find anybody with any interest, and you could kind of like go to meet up with them and stuff. But I think if you're not living in like a major city, it'd be harder than ever to like, well, harder and easier. Like easy because you can go online, but also, you know, hard in real life to find the people that share the same interests as you. And you know, there are people on the internet looking for that. So you buy Tamiya brand models, then paint them and customize. That's great. That's a fantastic thing that I'm sure has a fantastic audience. And now we're gonna bring in another mid-tone. Let's add a little bit of red. We're gonna bring in red to create this change in this shift in color here. A little bit of red to create a shift in color. Not a fan of all this blue. So how many would you say you make a year? Or in an ideal year, like if you had the time or whatever, how many would you say that you like to make on an average year? Yeah, I'm not familiar with Tamiya. You know what's also funny? It's not really funny. I don't know why I said that. But what's also interesting, so I did have a period over quarantine when I would just like buy these like build kits for, I guess they were Gundams or whatever. But hey, some of my best performing videos are just building like Gundams. I've only have 2 videos of that, but they were pretty high performing. And you know, I definitely know that there's people that are interested in that would love to watch someone who's like truly passionate about that stuff, you know? Like for me, it was something I just like picked up over quarantine, you know, for fun. And I just decided to make videos out of them. But, you know, for someone who's like really passionate and can like talk about it, you're going to stand out. You're going to do great. So here we go. Let me do a shade around this. So we're going to go, if blue, blue and red, orange, yellow, green, blue. Let's go with the trifecta and go green. I'm going to go with a dark green here as we go around this. Let's carve into this. I feel like the green might be a little too dark, but that's okay. So you build Gundams too? Yeah. Again, for me, that was just a little phase I had over quarantine because I was looking for stuff to do, and just something to work my hands, you know, something to change the way I do things, or change what I was doing because I was quite bored during quarantine. So here we go. We've got some dark green, and you know what? We're gonna build into this. Let's build some of our yellow into this. We're gonna dig into this with some yellow here, just to play with some of this color variety. And there we have it, our second foot. And here we go. So how long have I been drawing? You got all the Verka kits. Yo, like, if you have a good collection of stuff too, that's a totally great channel too, because you can talk about each and every single one. I mean, you know, not everyone wants to be on camera or feels comfortable talking on camera, but you know, that's an exercise. That's something you could practice with. When I first started making videos, I would just come up with an idea and try to talk into the camera for 30 seconds, and I would actually post them. I don't have them up anymore, but I would just talk about like one idea for 30 seconds, and like I would do like 20 takes of trying to say the same thing for 30 seconds. But you know, after a while, you just get used to it. But anyways, how long have I been drawing? I've been an artist for about, well, like serious study of art going on 4 years, around 4 years, which includes, you know, the study of drawing. But here we go. Here we go. But I will say this is one of my favorite books as far as learning how to draw goes. So this is a foot study. I probably could have pushed a little bit more into some of the detail, but you know, I'm using oil pastels, so things are a little different. These are just some basic foot shape and studies. What I really love about this, oh yeah, by the way, I don't know if you know about, you know, maybe part of you is wondering, like, how do you monetize your passion for building models? And there's one great thing you could look into. No, I'm not doing it for school. I'm just a living artist. I work in film and TV as well, and you know, growing YouTube. But one thing you could look into if you really want to talk about models and model building, and you look into the Amazon affiliate program. So Amazon has this program. I don't know if you heard it. If you have, you don't need me to remind you about it, but you could let me know. But yeah, they have this program where you could sign up for their affiliate program, become an influencer for Amazon, And all you need to do is share links to different Amazon products. So if you've got an entire set of Verka kits and you can talk about every single one of those kits, you can promote those, assuming Amazon sells them. But Walmart has it too. I don't know if you get those from Walmart, but I'm sure there's tons of programs out there that might offer affiliate programs, and you can basically talk of it. Yeah, so check it out if you want, if this is something you're actually serious about. You know, check it out. Amazon Influencer Program. You look up the product. Any product that they offer, you can essentially offer for commission, right? So you would write about it, make a video about it, post a link to it, add a disclaimer that you're an Amazon affiliate, because you have to do that as a rule, and that you can make money off of it, and then you're pretty much good to go. Just keep making passionate stuff about it. You'll probably grow on YouTube, and you'll grow and get some fun little paychecks from Amazon too. Of course, results may vary. I can't, none of this is guaranteed, but if you've got that much, you've been doing it for that long, you've been thinking about it, there's somebody waiting to hear from you. Anyways, good chatting with you, Corey. I'm gonna take a break now. It's been almost an hour and a half, and talking. On a normal basis, I don't talk this much. I only do it because that's one thing. Is if you live stream on platforms like TikTok, I've been reported. So just FYI, like I get reported when I don't talk. And then they accuse me of being a looper, like a stream looper, someone that just re-loop streams, and it's like not interactive enough. So I get punished for that. So I've learned to just talk and talk and talk. But anyways, good chat with you, Corey. Feel free to leave a comment that I could look at later. I'll follow you on Instagram or whatever, and stay connected. Thanks for sharing about what you do. I enjoy that. All right, take care, everybody.